Hi peeps, it's raggedy old Terse back on the old squat box again. I haven't brushed my beard today, it's a bit raggedy looking. But anyway, let's go on to the topics of today's subject. The pontiff, the Pope, had to abdicate because he's too physically feeble and too mentally feeble to continue as the Pope. I mean, this is the guy who's like the main line for the Catholics to their God. I mean, he's got the the hotline telephone straight to God. You would think God would take care of him a bit. You think God would like infuse him with energy to fulfil his position as the number one Catholic in the world. I mean, if God can't keep this guy going until he drops dead and gets taken up, you know what I mean, to heaven, to sit at the right hand of Jesus or whatever, what kind of faith is this? You know what I mean? The number one guy at the top of your faith, God can't even give him a little bit of extra energy to see him through the next couple of years till he drops dead of natural causes and ascends to heaven. God can't do that for the number one Catholic in the world. What kind of God is he? How weak is this God that can't keep his pontiff alive? You know what I mean? Come on. God's sake, this proves it's just a job that a man's doing. A man who's too feeble to do the job has to abdicate. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the true state of faith today, that the most faithful person in your religion has to abdicate because he's too weak to continue. I'm sure you could just pray to God for a bit of energy, Pray to God to wind the clock back on him a little bit. I mean, God, if Jesus could fucking raise the dead, right? Surely God could give a little bit more life to this old man, Give him just enough energy to survive the next year or two, you know what I mean? Fulfilling his duties as the pontificate, you know what I mean? The number one Catholic in the world. This is how weak God is. He can't even keep his number one guy on earth fucking ticking over. Or he couldn't just kill him with a heart attack and take him up so that the proper procedures of the Catholic faith could continue. I mean, this really must be worrisome for the Catholic faith. This is the guy who's supposed to have the most faith, the most belief in your religion, the most contact with God. I mean, God speaks to him directly, and yet he has to abdicate because he's too feeble. I mean, people in the Catholic faith go to Lourdes for miracles. Surely if there's ever going to be a miracle, it would be in the Vatican. Surely God could at least give him enough energy to see him through this year, and then perhaps take him up peacefully in his sleep next year sometime, you know what I mean? Peacefully let him ascend to heaven to be with God. Well, the rest of the Catholic faith gather round and, I don't know what they do in there, but they put votes on bits of paper and burn them, But we're going to have this abdication and have basically two popes. Because, I mean, he might have abdicated, but he's still the Pope. That is what I took as the whole thing about the Pope. You're in office until you die, You're there for life. It's a sort of a... You've given your life over to God. Well, he hasn't given his life over. He's given most of his life over to God. But this last bit is going to be like a bit of a retirement. I mean, I didn't know that God gave, retirement to pontiffs, I mean, this doesn't make any fucking sense to me. This is ridiculous, That's like Jesus, we're going to kill you, on the cross, but, actually we're not going to kill you. We're going to let you hang on for a bit, you know what I mean? Weak and feeble, we're not going to kill you. You don't need to go into the crypt and raise for the dead. We're just going to let you, hang on, and you could abdicate. Yeah, can you imagine if Jesus abdicated? You know what I mean? He didn't go into the crypt, he didn't rise for the dead, he just abdicated and let the next John the Baptist or Paul or you know, whoever, you know, Simon, you know, why do they take over? You know, I'm too ill. Oh, I'm too weak and feeble to continue as you know, God's representative on earth. You know what I mean? Jesus didn't do that. Jesus died. You know what I mean? All the other popes, all the way back for 585 years or something like that, they've all died in the position. You know what I mean? And the last pope who abdicated, he abdicated over an argument, a fight between two factions of the Catholic faith, which he couldn't settle. And that's why he abdicated, because he couldn't do his job, you know. But even that's a cop-out as well. That's what this cop-out, you know, abdicating because he's too weak, too feeble physically and mentally to do his job. Well, you know, why doesn't he just persevere? Why doesn't he, you know, like look at those Catholic heroes of the past who were thrown to the lions, you know. Look at the people who were persecuted as Catholics and put up with it and prayed to God to give them hope and, you know, a better tomorrow. Why couldn't he just do that? Just continue to pray and hope that, you know, the next sermon would be his last and God would, you know, scoop him up, you know. That's surely what he should be doing. Why is he abdicating? What do you mean? Surely he must be praying and hoping that, you know, his next sermon would be his last and it would be just too much for him and he would drop dead and be raised up to heaven. Surely that's what he should be thinking. Surely that's what he's telling other Catholics to do. In the face of adversity, pray for guidance from God. Surely he should just be praying for guidance from God and continue to do his job. Surely he should be praying for the strength to continue on. Isn't that what he keeps telling other Catholics? Yet it's not good enough for him. That's not good enough for him, you know. The fact that God might infuse him with energy and the strength to go on. Surely that's what he should be praying for. Is he given up on God? Is that what's happened? The Pope has given up on God. He doesn't believe God can help him to carry on his duties. But he thinks God's too weak. God isn't listening to him anymore. Doesn't hear his prayers. Is that what's happening with the Catholic faith now? Prayers aren't answered by God. Is that what the Pope is telling the Catholic faithful? 1.2 billion people. God won't answer your prayers. Just give up. Just abdicate your responsibility to God. You know what I mean? That's basically what the Pope is saying to the Catholics. You know what I mean? You don't need to be a Catholic anymore. In fact, the Catholic God is so weak he can't even help the pontiff. So why should he help you? So you might as well give up and become a Muslim or a Protestant. You know what I mean? That's basically what he's saying, because the Muslim and Protestant gods are obviously much stronger than the Catholic God, which is why the Catholic Pope is abdicating. His God is too weak to help him, no matter how many prayers he sends up there, no matter how many people pray for him. The Catholic God is too weak to help the Pope. That is really what is being said here. You know what I mean? This is the standard that we have to look at in these faith movements. If the Pope doesn't have enough faith to continue on, why should you? Honestly, if the Pope doesn't believe God can help him and give him the strength to carry on, why should you pray and continue to struggle and carry on? I think it's setting a horrible precedent for the faithful, horrible precedent for religious people around the world. Yeah, it's now coming to the point where being the Pope's just a job. It's like being the CEO of a bank, you know. If things aren't working out for you, you just retire, you know what I mean? You just retire and get your corporation to build you a nice big house. That's what they're doing, isn't it? He's going away to live in some summer home that he normally goes to until they build a cloister for him inside the Vatican, you know. And then you're going to have a Pope and the next Pope live in the Vatican. I wonder if they'll get together at night over a creme de menthe and, you know, argue about what one Pope decides the faithful should believe in. And what if the next Pope decides that, you know, it's fine for Catholics to have, you know, the pill? Because he's always been against this one, isn't he? This the 16th, Benedict the 16th, I think it is, something like that. You know, Ratzinger, you know, he was against the pill, you know. He was against women, Catholic women having, you know, the right to sort of control births and stuff like that. He was all for, I suppose, the rhythm method, although he doesn't have much rhythm left today. So, you know, what if him and the other guy disagrees? Is he going to call him into his whole cloister and say, oh, I don't agree with what you're saying, you should be telling people that the pill's bad, you know? You know, are they going to argue, and is he going to win? Is he going to get all the other cardinals in and start berating the new pope that, no, you can't say this, you know, you can't modify and modernise the Catholic Church? Well, he's modernising the Catholic Church by abdicating. That's a bit of modernisation, isn't it? So if the next pope wants to modernise a little bit more, is he going to argue with him about it? Or is he just going to be locked up in a cloister where nobody goes and talks to him anymore? And, you know, I don't know. He can watch his porn and read his, you know, I don't know, what is it, Shades of Grey or some fucking thing, you know what I mean? Maybe he's going to go and read that. Maybe he's been dying to have the opportunity to read that and not feel guilty because he's not the Pope anymore, I don't know. You know what I mean? He can always just, you know, read it and have his wet dreams and get absolution the next day by maybe having the Pope come in and give him his, whatever it is they do, you know. Oh, I've sinned, da da da, you know, 10 Hail Marys, 4 Our Fathers, and, you know, right, go back to your cloister. It's ridiculous, man. You know, you see these people of faith, not just the Catholics, but the Muslims and the fucking Christians, you know, in America, the Protestants, you know. Whenever they get caught doing something, you know what I mean, that's against the tenets and against everything that they say they stand for, then they turn around and say, oh, it's not God's fault and it's not my fault, the devil made me do it, and, you know, oh, I was led astray, you know what I mean? Yeah, but you're not supposed to be led astray, are you? You're supposed to be faithful and believe in your faith. I think this is it's not just an abdication of being the Pope, it's an abdication of his faith. It's an abdication of everything that he's represented as the Pope for the last 8 years, you know. He's abdicated his responsibility to 1.2 billion people in the world, you know what I mean? Sad, but that's the way I see it, you know. And it brings home the fact that, you know, he is just a man and it's just a job, and I've always seen it like that, being an atheist. And I see all these other petulant faith leaders, you know, around the world, you know, they're all the same. Just a job. They love the position, they love the power, they love the grandeur and all that, you know. But they don't really believe in the bullshit they're fucking speaking, man. If they did believe in it, this guy wouldn't be abdicating. He would be going on day after day, praying and struggling and putting up with the pain and his weakness until he died. That's what's expected of him, and people are totally shocked that he's turned around and abdicated. Catholics around the world are shocked at this, you know what I mean? And so they should be. Because he's actually turned around and says to them, it's just a job, I'm just a man, and I'm too weak to do my job. That's what he's saying, I'm too weak to do my job, and so I'm retiring. I'm taking retirement, and I'm going to go off and, you know, shuffle off into a little corner somewhere and read books and watch videos and perhaps pray occasionally, you know, when I've got the strength, because apparently he's too weak to pray. He's too weak to lead prayer for the Catholics, you know what I mean? The hundreds of thousands of Catholics, and, you know, come to see him at the Vatican on the balcony, you know. He's too weak to step out on the balcony and say, oh, you know, and crosses, you know. He's too weak for that, you know. So he's going to shuffle off and watch some videos and read some books, you know. Sad. Fucking sad, man. You know. But it does, as I say, it shows us atheists that, yeah, we're right. We are right. There's nothing to this faith shit other than it's just a job that these people love to lord over other people. They love to lord over them and say that they're the special ones. They're the guys at the top, and you should listen to me until I decide I'm going to go and retire, and then you can go and listen to someone else. You know what I mean? Yeah, somebody else will come in and tell you what to do. You don't need me, you know. God doesn't need me anymore. That's what he's saying. God doesn't need him anymore. He's shuffling off. Not the mortal coil, just shuffling off the stage into the wings where he would go and hide, read his books, and people can forget him. You know, it's madness, man. Madness if you believe this bullshit. If you're a Catholic, this should be a huge, gigantic signal to you that you've wasted your fucking life. Wasted your life believing in this shit when you could be living a pretty good life, by the way, with the moral standards that you have inside you in the first place, without everything else at the bullshit that these old white motherfuckers up there and, you know, in Vatican are telling you. I mean, especially when they're running around protecting paedophiles who are probably raping your sons and daughters and your fucking Catholic fucking, I don't know, what is it, church, you know what I mean? And then hiding these people for you, shuffling them around so that the cops can't catch them and denying it all happened, you know what I mean? He's presided over some of the worst horrific, you know what I mean, paedophile fucking, you know, exposure in the Catholic Church in hundreds of years. And this is how he deals with it. It's too much for me. I'm going to retire and fuck off and spend some of the billions of fucking pounds that the Catholic Church has to build myself a new house and live in luxury until eventually I probably die. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fuck yeah. So anyway, yeah. Faith and religion. This is a standard. He's set a standard, and it's the same standard for all religions. It's the same standard for the Protestants, it's the same standard for the Muslims, the same standard for all religions around the world. This is what it is. It's old men trying to tell other people how to live their lives when they've never actually lived a life themselves. They've spent a lifetime of reading some stupid damn book that makes no bloody sense to anybody in the world. None of them do. None of the religious books make any damn sense whatsoever, and these people try to uphold this bullshit crap by saying, well, this part we don't count anymore, but that part is really, really important. You know, that's basically religion, isn't it? Yeah. And this shows it up for that. The Pope of Town shows this up for that. Every religion is the same, by the way. Old men try to tell people how to live their lives when they've never lived a proper life themselves. It's round your fucking van, motherfuckers.